this working? Hi everyone. I'm we're about to start. I'm just checking if the sound is good. Hi everyone. Yeah, it seems so. Okay, so yeah, I think it's time to start. So what? Yeah, welcome to everybody. Not only people watching, live, but also people watching the recording in the future. So yeah, welcome to this webinar. This is the lesson 4 in this series of webinars where I'm explaining how to use Codoozer. Okay, so well, if you haven't seen the past 3 webinars, it's very important to watch them because they're very important because after the first 3 webinars, you should really have a good knowledge of how Codoozer works. Okay, so yeah, we learned a lot of things in the last 3 webinars. Okay, but those were like the real base of Codoozer. Okay, so if you understood what we explained in those 3 webinars, then everything that is going to come today and in the next webinar is going to be very easy because the methodology is always the same. Okay, so we are going to start learning like some serious stuff like today. Okay, and then in every webinar we will start like learning new concepts and all those things that you are going to need in order to create the best apps. Okay, so well, today it's also a very important lesson. Okay, because if you want to create like real apps, the big apps like Uber, like WhatsApp, all the apps, in those apps there are users and users share information, right? So there's a backend, there's a big database that handles all the information. Okay, because a lot of people think that one app is just an app, but normally apps are just interfaces that interact with the server, with a backend. Okay, for example, in Uber, the app is only an interface, but all the big stuff is done on the server, okay, and on the databases. So today we're going to learn how to use databases, but not databases inside the app, but big databases, so that in the future when we create like big apps, we will need what we are going to learn today. Okay, of course we will do the basic thing today. Okay, but this will be very useful for the future. Okay, because in case you want to create a super app with Codoozer, where some users can log in and share information and do things, then you're going to need to know and to understand how the database on the server works. Okay, but don't worry if you're not a backend developer, because Codoozer is about no coding, right? So we are using a backend that it's also for no coders. Okay, well, not for no coders, but normally it's for app developers who don't know how to develop a backend. Okay, so there's this software called Firebase. Okay, this is provided by Google. Okay, so Firebase, they provide a set of tools so that app developers can create a backend, but without developing the backend. Okay, so Codoozer integrates with Firebase. Okay, so if you learn how to use Codoozer, then you learn how to use Firebase. You are really going to be a super app developer. Okay, so yeah, that's what we are going to learn today. Okay, so well, I'm starting with a basic project. Okay, it's empty. Well, basically it's the default project that comes with Codoozer. Okay, so I will remove everything. Okay, that's it. And so basically what I'm going to do first, I will create some button. Okay, and when the user clicks on that button, I want to save some information on the server, okay, on the database. So first I'm going to explain a bit about Firebase. Okay, so well, if you have a Google account, you can just create a Firebase account with the same email. Okay, because it's a Google product, so you know that you can use the same address for all the products, right? So well, I already have an account, but it's super easy. So you just create an account, or you just sign up with the same account. Then you go to the console. Well, I have to say that Firebase is normally free for small projects. Okay, so if you are going to build apps like you have, I mean, where you have a medium amount of users, then normally Firebase will be free. Okay, but well, of course, if you start having like hundreds of thousands of users in your app, and you make a intense use of the database, you store a lot of information, a lot of files, things like that, then Firebase will start charging you. Okay, but it's not that expensive. Okay, because normally in every big project you have to pay for servers. Okay, so Firebase is quite reasonable. Okay, so for example, if you have less than 10,000, I think it's 10,000 users per day writing in your database, it's going to be free. But if you have less than 100,000 users, it's going to be like 18 cents per month, something like that. Okay, it will increase if you get bigger, but it's not really expensive. Okay, but normally for starters, it's free. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so well, normally when you start, you won't have any project. Okay, so in Firebase you can create like several projects. If you are starting like creating different apps, you can create different projects. Okay, so basically you can create projects on Firebase, and those projects will have their own database, their own user management system, their own file storage cloud. Okay, and at the same time you can put several apps using the same project. Okay, for example, if you create an Android app, a website, an iOS app, you can put all those apps in the same project because they are all going to use the same database. Okay, even if you create two Android apps, you can put all the two of them in the same project. Okay, because sometimes you want to create, imagine that you are having like a food delivery app. Maybe you want one app for the customers and one app for the restaurants. Okay, but they all use the same database, so they are different apps, but they are going to use the same database. So in that case, you should put them in the same project. Okay, so well, first time you sign up, this page will be empty, so you can create your new project. Okay, so I'm going to start a new project. Let's click on here on add project, then enter a name for your project, like lesson 4, for example. Then I would always activate analytics. Okay, this is optional, but it's always good to get information from your user, right? So you can keep this enabled and click on continue. Then you can select the default account. This is for analytics. Then this might take like 20 seconds, something like that. Now it's like reserving space on their servers. This is using Google servers. Okay, so the good thing about Firebase is that you don't really need to worry about scaling your app. Okay, so if you have more and more users, all the scaling will be done automatically by Google. Okay, in the past when you used to create a backend, normally if one day you start having a lot of users, then you might get in trouble. Okay, because you don't have enough computers and that. Okay, but with Firebase they will add computers to your backend in case you need it. Okay, but you don't have to worry about that. So okay, our project is ready. Click on continue. Okay, and now here I'm inside my project on Firebase. Okay, so here on the left you have a lot of tools. Okay, I told you that Firebase is a set of tools for developers. Okay, so you have some tools that will help you develop your app or your backend. For example, you have the Authentication tool, which is for handling all the users for your app. You have the Cloud Firestore, which is the database, the one that we are going to use. Well, there's an old database also, the real-time database. This is the one that Firebase provided first. Okay, but now they have this Cloud Firestore, which is better. Okay, so we will only use this one for Codoozer. Then you have storage, which is like a cloud for files. Okay, so imagine that in your app you want to let your users take pictures and upload them. Okay, you can use Firebase storage to host those images. Okay, well, the hosting is for hosting scripts and things like that. We're not going to use this. Then functions will be used in the future with Codoozer. This is in case you want to add some software in the server. Okay, but anyway. Well, they have some others, like for analytics. I mean, this is Google Analytics, so you can see how your app is performing, how many monthly active users you have, daily active users, that stuff. And then you have some other tools like cloud messaging, which is, I mean, for sure you're going to use cloud messaging. This is for sending push notifications. And you have in-app messaging, which is another type of messaging. Okay. Um, well, then we have dynamic links, which is not yet available on Codoozer, but we will add it soon, I think. Okay. So yeah, let's go with the Cloudfire. I mean, today we are going to talk about this one, the second one, the Cloud Firestore, which is the database on the server. Okay, so well, first, I mean, our project is empty. Okay, so now we have to start adding our first app. Okay, so we had this app in Codoozer, which is empty, but you know, it's a start. Okay, so here in the app, you know that here we have the Android package name. Okay, so we are going to need this package name in order to set up our app on Firebase. So let's go to Firebase, and here you can add a new app. So let's click on the Android icon and enter here your package name. Okay, this must be the exact same package name that you are using in your app. Okay, then you can set a nickname for your app. This is only for you. So, and I mean, you can have like Android app, for example. And this here, you can leave it empty for now. Okay, this is only for dynamic links, invites, and in case you are going to use Google Sign Up. But I mean, that's not yet available. But in the future, I mean, you will need to put this. Okay, then you click here on the register app. Okay, and now you see this button here that says download Google services.json. Okay, this is the file that we will use to integrate Firebase in Codoozer. Okay, so click here to download this file. Okay, I'm going to put it in my here, my okay, and let's change the name. Well, the thing is that I have another version in my folder, so it added this one number. Okay, remove it. Okay, so now we have the file. You can click on next. Then you just ignore this, click on next, and here continue to console. Okay, so now our app is set here on Firebase. So in order to integrate our app, I mean in Codoozer with Firebase, you just go back to Codoozer, take the file, and just drop it on into Codoozer. Okay, anywhere. Click here. Okay, and now the file will be added here in external. Okay, this is the file we just uploaded. Okay, you can see the information. I mean, you shouldn't touch anything here. Okay, and then if we go to app, you will see that it added this Firebase parameter under the Android one. Okay, so this is the name of the file, and now we can add all the different products from Firebase that we want to use in the app. Okay, so well, in case you want to use analytics, so you can keep track of your users, you should just click here on analytics and keep it to true. Okay, now if we start using our app, we will see real-time things happening on our analytics dashboard on Firebase, okay? Then we are going to use today this one called Firestore, which is the database. So click on it, and that's all we need to do to integrate Firebase in our app. Okay, so now we created a database for our app. Okay, well, not yet, but almost. Okay, but now our app is going to use Firebase. Okay, it's ready to use Firebase. Okay, now we have to create a database or activate it. Okay, so go back to Firebase and go here to Cloud Firestore. And if it's the first time, if it's the first app in your project, you will need to create a database, which you just need to click here. Okay, and now select how to start your database. Okay, you can start in production mode or in test mode. Okay, this is not, super important now that we are learning. Okay, but basically you have to know that once we have our database, we can set some security rules for our database. Okay, so we can, restrict the access to our database so that only users of our app can access it and things like that. Okay, so if you start in production mode, these are the rules. You don't really need to understand this language now. Okay, but basically this is saying that all third-party reads and writes will be denied. Okay, so no one will be able to read and write. So if you create your app and then you see that nothing is written on the database, it's probably because of the rules. Okay, then you can start in test mode. Okay, and this will activate your database for some time. Okay, I think it's for 30 days, something like that. Okay, but even if you start in production mode, you can click on next and just select a server. If you have all the users from the US, you should select a server that is based in the US, okay, because it will be a bit faster for your customers. Okay, this might take like 30 seconds, something like that, but it's nothing, I guess. Okay, so, well, now this is our database. You can always go back to rules. And since we started in production mode, this is false. You can put here true. Okay, so now we're letting everyone to write and read from our app. Okay, there are different, if you click here on the rules playground, you can, you can learn more about this. Okay, but there are some ways to only allow users that logged in your app. Okay, but today we're not going to talk about rules, and there's some information here on Firebase. You can check it. Okay, but not today. Okay, so let's go. This is the view of our database, and the thing is that normally, you can write data or read data from here. Okay, but normally you won't be writing data manually. Okay, because the idea is that users, the app will be the one using the database. Okay, not you here on the dashboard. Okay, but anyway, in case you need to modify or to do some testing, you can click on buttons here and start adding things. Okay, so let me explain the basic structure of a database. Okay, because I'm not sure if you know something about databases, but well, in the past or even in nowadays, there's a type of database which is very popular, which is the SQL databases. But if you know something about databases, maybe you know that they can have tables of data, and those tables can have different columns and different items. Okay, but the thing is that Firebase uses a different type of databases. Okay, so they don't have like a fixed structure. You don't have to define tables, columns, and this type of things, okay? Because Firebase is using what they call NoSQL database, okay? So basically those are databases which are formed by collections of data, okay? So data is, I mean, the unit of data is a document, and then we have collections of documents, okay? So basically when we start the database, we start with a collection, okay? And in that collection we will have documents, and each document can have values, okay? For example, imagine that we have a collection of cars, okay? We can have our cars, well, we can click here, okay? My collection ID is going to be cars. Click on next, and then I can have documents. So each document will be a car, okay? For example, I can write here some ID, or I can click here on auto ID, okay? We're going, hey, hi, how are you? I see some people coming, so hi. I mean, we started like 20 minutes ago, but it's okay. I mean, we've been explaining, I mean, a lot of theory, and but you're not, I think it's going to be easy from this point to the, until we end the webinar to understand everything, okay? So don't worry about that. And I'm just explaining now the structure of the databases on Firebase, okay? So we have documents. So if we click on Auto ID, it will create a random ID. And this is a car. And here on this document, we can add like the maker and the value, like Ford, another field like model, like Explorer, for example. Okay, you can add more fields, or you can add a string, which is text. You can add numbers. You can enter booleans, which is true or false. You can use maps. Well, not for Codoozer, but yeah, basically strings, numbers, and booleans. Okay, and you click on save. And here we see like the basic database. Okay, we have here a list of collections. We could have another collection, like for example animals, then name, or type, like horse, or yeah, and then like name. I don't know any horse, but Sea Biscuit, I think, was a movie, for example. Okay, so we have a collection of animals, and then we have a collection of cars. Okay, so in this collections column, you can define as many collections that you want. Okay, imagine that you are creating like a social app, like a food delivery app. Okay, you could have a collection for users, you could have another collection for orders, you could have another collection for restaurants. Okay, so this is how it works. And inside every collection, then you have a collection of documents. Okay, so each document is like an item in your database. Okay, and then each document can have like different values. Okay, for each value you create a key or a name, and then a value. Okay, so, and also a collection can have, a document can have collections inside. Okay, for example, I have here my cars collection. I have my Ford Explorer here, so I could add a collection called, let's say, like parts. And inside that collection, I can have different parts like material, like plastic, for example. Okay, you see this? Okay, now inside my document, inside my Ford document, I can have a collection of parts. Okay, and here I can have as many parts as I want. Okay, so since this is again a collection, it will have documents. Okay, and then the document can have fields and can have more collections inside. Okay, well, I know if you're new to databases, this might be a bit confusing. Okay, but it's really important that you understand this structure. Okay, because the way we are going to access from our app, it's basically always the same. It's going to be, well, you'll see later, but we are going to really know this, that things are in order, like collection document field, or collection document field. Okay, so you'll see that in a second. Okay, so well, basically this is all I'm going to do here manually. Okay, because now I want to do everything from the app. Okay, so let's go back to Codoozer. We already have our app, so let's come here. So well, the first exercise I'm going to do, I'm just going to put some button, and when I click on this button, I just want to put some data in a database. Okay, so let's do things easy. So let's put, well, I'm going to start with one group, like main body. You know that I always like to start with a group, so I can add a padding, because there's a lot of people when create apps, they put text next to the edge of the phone, and this is not really nice. So I always like to put a group with padding, so that everything is a bit separated from the edge of the screen. Okay, so yeah, let's add some text, and I'm going to put like safe and text align center, padding like 12, and a background solid with, let's say, what's the primary here, for example. Okay, this is my button. Okay, so basically what I want, like save button, is so when I click on this button in the app, I just want to save some value. Like let's use, for example, this collection. I mean, I don't really need the collection to exist, so let me remove it, and you'll see that I don't really need the collection. Okay, so now the collection doesn't exist, but you'll see that that's not important, because I mean, you don't really need the dashboard of Firebase. Okay, and you don't even need, since this is a NoSQL database or a JSON database, you don't really need to create things before using them. Okay, so let's convert this into a button. I'm going to add the onClick event. So yeah, you know that we have an action where, do you remember last webinars when you want to set some value in a reference? You remember references, right? Those places in memory where you can store data. Okay, so if you remember the first webinar when I talked about the different types of references, there was one called Firebase. Okay, so we are going to use the action set, which is for setting a value in a reference. Okay, so databases are reference to. So I'm going to use the name of the reference. So we put at Firebase. Okay, now we put a dot, and inside, I mean, there are some references that can have like sub references. Okay, so remember, like at property dot name, you don't, I mean, the name is just the name of the property. Okay, but in some references which are like more complex, we can add some, the whole reference name is made in different parts. Okay, so if we put Firebase, now since Firebase has different tools, now we are going to use the name of the tool we want to use or we want to set, which is the Firestore, which this is the database. Okay, you remember this is called Cloud Firestore, which is the database. So if you put add firebase.firestore, then you are telling the app to set something in the database. Okay, so now what we have to keep writing is the whole path inside the database. Okay, so now do you remember what it comes now? I mean, when you are in the root of your database, then you have collections, right? And each collection has a name. So now we have to enter here the name of the collection where we want to write. So we're going to use like cars, which doesn't exist. Okay, so when we use the action set, we are in fact trying to set a value inside a document. Okay, so we need to put the document here. Okay, so we can put our own ID for the document, like cars, like Ford. Imagine that we want to use Ford as the ID of that document. Okay, and now we can have like let's say model, for example. Okay, so this is the cars is the collection, Ford is the ID of the document, and model will be a field inside that document. Okay, so here we can write Explorer. Okay, so yeah, let's generate this. Well, let me download the CDC file. I'm going to just find my cable. I always okay, I think I have one here for a moment. Okay, so I want to show you in my phone. Okay, oh, it's I ran out of battery in my phone. Good. So well, I guess I can start with the next example. Okay, and once I have some battery in my phone, I will do it. Okay, I guess it's only like 2 minutes to get at least 2%. Okay, so yeah, let's well, in this example, we saw how to write information with the set function. Okay, but now if you use the set function, then you are setting like you need to know the ID of the document. In this case, this is like a random ID, but in some other cases, it's not random. Okay, so with the action set or the function set, we are setting this value. Okay, so some value, some field value, because we are writing here also the name of the ID of the document and then the name of the field. Okay, so we are setting the value. So in the next example, imagine that you want to add a whole document. Okay, so imagine that you are like adding users to your app and you are asking for their full profile. Okay, and you want to add, you want to have one document for the user. Okay, so you don't really add as many sets as fields you want to have from that user. Okay, normally you want to add the whole document because you ask all the information in one form. Okay, so that's what we are going to do next. Okay, my phone is almost on, but anyway, I'm going to start with the example. So basically I'm going to add some text inputs here. Okay, the first one will be like maker input. Hint, let's use maker. I'm going to push this on top and add some margin on the bottom. Let's say 48. Okay, I think my phone is on. Well, let me finish this form. So, well, you remember how to use input text, right? So I'm just going to use a property to store what the user writes in this form. Okay, so property dot like temp maker, for example. Okay, or well, it could be just maker. Okay, then I'm going to clone this one, like model input, and this is going to be model. Okay, so now we are asking for maker and model. Okay, so well, let me scan this and show you the previous example. Okay, um, okay, and use Visor to show you my app. Okay, I'm not sure if I have enough space in my phone. This is going very slowly. Let's have some patience. Okay, now. Okay, so our first example, we have this button only. So if I click on this button, I mean, we are going to try to add inside the collection called cars, right? So just click once. Did it work? Okay, now. Okay, so now, I mean, this is real time. Okay, so I mean, right after I clicked, the value was stored here in the database. Okay, but this is only an issue with the Firestore dashboard. Okay, if you create a new collection, it won't appear here until you refresh. Okay, so for collections, you have to refresh. But we will see that the collection was added or created. Okay, you see now that I have this collection, cars, because I clicked on this button. And now I have this document with this ID Ford, because this is the ID I used here. Okay, the collection cars, document ID Ford, and then I have this model and then the value. You see, it created it in real time. Okay, so now, okay, let's go. That was easy, right? So let's go with the second example. Okay, I'm creating this form. I have my property. I mean, I have these two fields. I mean, you can have a bigger form. And I mean, for now, it's enough with these two values. Okay, so I'm going to change this function, this set function. So let's remove it. So now when I click on the save button, I just want to create a new whole document for this car. Okay, so instead of the set function, I'm going to use the add function. Okay, this is for adding a new whole document. Okay, so now we have different parameters. So to means where we want to add this document. Okay, so now we have to enter here a collection in the database. Okay, so we are going to use Firebase.Firestore. Okay, this way we are telling the app that we want to save something on Firebase. And then the name of the collection. You can use cars, sorry. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really need to exist. It is the same. If it doesn't exist, then it will create the collection. Okay. So this is the collection where we want to add a new car. Okay. And then here on the what parameter, this is where you are going to put the information. Okay. You can click on plus button to add a new field like maker. And the value of maker, I mean, you can use Ford here. Okay. But since this is an app and we want to have a dynamic app, so the user adds content, we're going to use a reference property.maker. Okay, because what we want to store in this document is what the user typed. Okay, so here in this input we have, I mean, we have this source. This means that everything the user types in this input text will be stored inside this reference. Okay, so if we put here this, okay, then we will have the content inside this property, okay, which is the same as the user typed, right? And then we can have model and use property dot model. Okay, well, you can have, I'm not sure if you know about the modifiers. Okay, I think I didn't talk about that, but you could have like maker in uppercase, for example, and here you can use like property dot maker, and then you can add modifier. So when you get the value from the reference, you can transform it. Like you can have upper, you can have lower. I mean, in case you just want the initials, I think you can use 0, 2. I mean, this will take the first 2 characters, or you can use like upper, okay? Or you can use maker code and use, for example, property dot maker dot 0, 2. Okay, so normally in computing, things start on 0, not 1. Okay, so this is the first character, so this is a range. Okay, it will start on the first and it will end on the third. This is the third, but it means less than the third, I think. Okay, so I think this is only going to take the first 2 letters. Okay, and you could even do something like this, like upper dot 02. So it will transform these to capital letters and then take the first 2 characters. Okay, so yeah, then, well, you can also have this key parameter. Okay, this is in case you want to force your own ID. Okay, if you know the ID you want for the document, okay, this ID, you can type it here or you can get it from another reference. Okay, but if you don't, if you just want Firebase to create a random ID, you can just remove this parameter. Okay, so okay, let's generate again and see what happens. Okay, any questions for now? Okay, this should be fast. So after, well, now it's done. Let me install it and then I will talk. Okay. Well, I think you saw that I have a bottle of wine next to my screen. Okay, it's downloading. I'm getting a warning. Oh no, it's not that. Okay. Here you have my phone. Okay, and let's go back to Firebase. Okay, now that I have the collection, you will see this in real time. Okay, so let's enter here like Ferrari, and model will be Testarossa. Okay, so if I click on save, you will see that this is real time. Okay, you are going to see how Firebase adds a new document here. Okay, you see? It took like 1 second, something like that. Okay, so this is my new document with a random ID. If I click on this document, you see the maker is Ferrari. The maker code is FE because it made the uppercase first and then it took the first 2 letters. Okay, and then we have our model. Okay, but we can add more. I mean, if I go back to my form and I enter like let's say Lamborghini and let's say Diablo. Click on save and you see it. Now it took even less than 1 second. So I have my second car. Okay, so you can add as many cards as you want. Okay, you see that every time I click on the save button, I'm adding a new document. Okay, well, the thing is that if imagine that, where's that? Sorry. I told you that the add function will add a new document, okay? But the thing is that if you use a key and you put always like the same key, instead of adding a new document, if there's already a document in this collection with this ID, then it will change the content, okay? You'll see. Let's generate the app again, because sometimes this is what you want. Okay, for example, if you are having a collection for user profiles and you want to create a screen or a view so that the user can edit the profile, you can just always use add, so it will modify the current user. Okay, oh sorry, there's a question. So this property can also save user ID from Codoozer to Firestore or Firebase. Yeah, sure. I mean, we will see this, I think, in the next lesson, how to create users. Okay, but well, let me first scan this and I will finish my explanation. Okay, so we save some time. Okay, yeah, so yeah, there's another product here on Firebase which is called Authentication. Okay, so every user has an ID. So if you create, well, it's not active now, but if you create a user or a user signs up, okay, Firebase will assign an ID for that user. Okay, so you can always access that ID, for example, like this, at firebase.user.id. So this way you are having, I mean, you're using the user ID, so you can have a document for the user ID in case you want to save the profile of that user. Okay, so we will see that in next chapter, I think. Okay, so let me just see this example with this. I mean, now we forced an ID or a key. Okay, so now if I click here like Ford and I enter like Explorer, I click on save. Now, oh, something happened. Uh-huh. I think I did something wrong. Ah, no, I was in the animals collection. Sorry. Yeah. Ah, okay. So everything went good. Okay, you see that now I have this document, which is Ford, the ID, because I put Ford. Well, it was here. I put Ford here as a key. So now if I change something, for example, I change the model, like Taurus. If I click on save, you will see that it won't remove this document, or neither it will add another document. Okay, so it will just edit this document because it will always have the same ID. You see, it only changed the model, but if I change like um, Lincoln, now it changed all the different values. Do you see that? Okay, so let's go to another example. Okay, so now we created this, we added a new document. So let's go further and let's see how we can create a whole collection. Okay, not only one document, but let's give the chance to the user to add more and more documents. Okay, so imagine that we are creating this app for having our own card database, right? So, well, I will have this view for, for adding a new car, and then I'm going to have a car list, for example. Okay, so I want to have this car list as the first view of my app, so I'm going to change this. Okay, and well, the main view, I'm going to change the ID. Let's call it like new car. Okay, so my car list will be the title and the same wrapper, for example. Okay, so basically now I'm going to I want to show, I want to display the whole collection of cars here. Okay, so we have a component in Codoozer which is basically for showing collections of things. Okay, well, you can use it for creating menus. Okay, because menus, you know these menus here, I think we talked about them. Okay, these are like small databases. You see that this is a JSON file, it has values. Okay, we can use a menu as the content of a list. Okay, but yeah, because basically menus are like small databases, but we want we can show a list of all the documents inside a collection on Firebase. So I'm going to add this document, I'm sorry, this component called list. I'm going to call it like car list, for example. Okay, and basically it will take all the documents and it will create a row for each document. Okay, I mean, not the whole information, we can decide which information we want to display. Okay, so well, here on data source you can set the reference name of a collection. Okay, so in our case we're going to use Firebase dot Firestore and dot the name of the collection. Okay, so in this case we are going to show a list of cars. Okay, in case you want to create a collection or a list of the parts, remember we created I mean, in the first example we added a collection inside a document. Okay, we could have this like dot Ford dot parts in case parts is a collection. Okay, you can also do that. Okay, but in our case it's just cars. Okay, so now we can have height 100% so that it takes all the screen, and yeah, basically that's it. And now we can add the content. Okay, so a list can have content, so basically the content is a template for every row in our list. Okay, so we can have a group. Okay, well, by the way, there's a small bug here on Codoozer in this simulator. Okay, so if you design content inside a list and you're using a database, it won't show anything here. Okay, so normally if you want to design it, it's always easier to do this. For example, let's put 50%, and now we are going to take this group and put it below the list. Okay, so that we can design it. Let's call it car row. It's going to be like horizontal 100%, height wrap, and some padding like 24. Okay, now we can add a text. Okay, imagine that this is the maker with, it's going to be wrap. This is like the maker label, for example. And we could have another text for maker name. No, maker, sorry, model label. Model, and then add some margin at start. let's say 24. Okay. Well, the thing is that now I'm only using text. Okay, but where I mean, I'm going to use this row inside the list. Okay, so for each item or for each document in our collection, I want to take the value inside the database, right? I don't just want to show this text maker. So I'm going to use, instead of source, I'm going to use this parameter, which is field. Okay, so now I need to put here the name of the field I want to display. Okay, so in this case, it's going to be maker because I want to show this maker and model. Field model. Okay, and that's it. Well, if I generate, you will see now a list of documents. Okay. Oh, something happened. Let's try again. Let's try again. Well, normally, I mean, in case it fails, you can try again. Sometimes it's because, I mean, the server is restarting, but maybe I missed something. I mean, normally it only fails once. So if it fails again, maybe I'm doing something wrong. Yeah, I guess I'm doing something wrong. Okay, so let's see. Maybe it's because the list doesn't have any content because, well, I forgot to put now this group back. Now, okay, maybe it was that. I'm not sure. Well, I forgot to put it like 100%. No, it's not that. Okay, let me check. Row group, horizontal, false. Card list. Maybe I did something when I changed the ID or card list. My card list. Main wrapper. Everything seems good. Main wrapper. I don't know what's happening. Everything is fine. Maybe there's something wrong with the server. Something happened yesterday and for 20 minutes it didn't work. But maybe it's restarting. Oh. Everything's good. Go to card list. Card list. Ay, 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 ay. Just checking if I use the same IDs or something. No. Okay, I can do a quick test. to find the error. Normally, I'm going to do when I mean, in case sometimes fails and you don't see the error, you can send us always the one moment. I mean the CDC file, and we can check if something's wrong. So I'm going to do that right now. One moment. This may take like 2 minutes only. Okay, since I have the CDC file, this shouldn't happen in a webinar, I know, but sometimes it happens. You're just watching the skeleton of Codoozer. Everything seems fine in the project, so I really believe, yeah, I mean it's generating, and I really believe it's something with the server. Okay, but anyway, I'm going to run the app from Android Studio, which is going to be basically exactly the same that I'm doing. In the meantime, I'm going to try again. No, nothing. Sorry for this. Okay, so I will open. You know that Codoozer is not an app builder. Okay, in fact, Codoozer is a source code builder. Okay, so basically, first it creates the source code for Android. It's Android Studio. So now you're going to see. No, it's not this one. It's lesson. Okay. So if there was an error in the code, I will see now. But if now I can run the app, then it's something with the generator server. So it might take like 10 minutes like yesterday, and then it will work. But anyway, I can show you the app from here. Hold on. It will take like 3 seconds, something like that, I think. Well, let's try again in the meantime. Okay, let's wait. Normally it opens like in 30 seconds, but some other times with my slow computer it takes like 1 or 2 minutes. Try. I'm not sure if I downloaded the last version. it's still opening the project. No. 3 processes. Okay, now almost. Okay, I'm going to run it. I think I said now too fast, but it should be almost done. Okay, let's try again in the meantime. No, no. I guess this is a stupid error. Maybe it's something I did wrong. But let's see if it works. Well, maybe it's because I'm transmitting, broadcasting the webinar, and my computer takes all the resources for transmitting. And let's see, now it's only one process. I hope it's... Normally this only takes like 20 seconds, something like that. Wow. I'm going to, in the meantime, do another test. I'm just going to download the CTC. Then I'm going to remove the project. And I'm going to upload it again. Because I don't know why, but I think something happened when I changed the ID of this view. But let's try. No, nothing. Okay. Let me try a new project and export it, so that I will know if it's something wrong in our server. Yeah, it's the server. Yeah, something happens in the server. Because it doesn't have content. Okay, this is a good clue. Still working on Android Studio. Yeah, okay, but I think there's something wrong with the view ID. Since I changed the view, okay, now it works. Yeah, it's working. Well, anyway, this is the app. Let's put Firebase. Oh, okay. Yeah. I used the old CDC before putting it inside. Okay. Anyway. Now I think the next time is going to be faster. But let's do this. I'm going to upload again my project, lesson 3. Okay, and yes, let me put main view back here. I don't know why, but something happened. Oh no. Well, anyway, let's close the Android Studio. Let's remove this. Let's try again. It should be faster now, because now Android Studio is open, so I guess it finished doing things. You see, now it's going much faster. But anyway, I think it's something that something has no content. Group main body. This has content. Card list. Content. Content. Card row. Content. I don't know. Okay, now it's ready. Yeah, it's much faster now. So anyway, I will show you the app. I mean, not generated by the server, but it's the same project. Oh, Sonny, you're saying something. Okay, you've been working on a new app that makes the user check off items as they finish them. Scavenger. I'm not sure what a scavenger is. It is possible to also update the Firestore with those same checkbox. You mean the components to add a checkbox component so that it can have true or false? Okay, now it's ready. Let me check what a scavenger is. For reference. Scavenger. Okay. Yeah, we can try that in the final example if you want. Okay, so well, you see now this is the app that we were building. Okay, since we are going to do the final example, like how to add. This is the list that I have on Firebase. I have these 3 cars: the Lincoln, the Ferrari Testarossa, and the Lamborghini. Okay. Okay, so now the final example, and we can add the checkbox. Well, not a checkbox, but a switch. We can, okay. So basically what I want to do now is to add a plus button so the user can add a new car. okay, and then it will take to the other view where he can add cars. Okay, so let's go back here. Here on my list, I'm going to add, let's say, a button. Add button, and I have to add an icon. So let me use icon finder and use add free. Let's use I don't know, this one. Okay, so I have the icon here. No, not this one. Okay, so I have my plus button. So if they click on this button, I just want to go to the car, to the main view, which is the add car. So I will say go to main view. Okay, so this is for adding a new car. Okay, so now I'm going to go to main view, and I'm going to add also a switch. Oh, yes. So I just show you my pattern. Okay, switch, or like ready, and I'm going to use add property dot ready, for example. Okay, and a margin. At the bottom of 48. Well, you should put a label here, but anyway. Okay, so here on the on click, I'm also going to add this ready parameter, and property dot ready. Okay, and well, in this case, I'm going to use this view, the main view, not only for adding cars, but also for editing the existing ones. Okay, so that's why I'm going to create a new key, and you'll see how. So imagine that I have the key I want to use, the ID for this car, the one that I'm adding or the one that I'm editing. So I'm going to use property dot car ID, for example. Okay, so let's imagine that I have one property called car ID, which is the ID I want to use for this document. Okay, so well, and after the on click, so if they add the document, I want to go back to the previous view. Okay, so I will add the document or edit the existing one and then go back. So how do I calculate my car ID? So I'm going back to the car list, and on the button, before going to the main view, I'm going to do this. Set, and what, this is the name of the reference I want to set. So what, property dot car ID. And the value, I just want a random value. So you can do, like, for example, add app dot timestamp. Okay, this will get a random value, which is basically the timestamp. Okay, the current time, but in milliseconds. Okay, if you don't want just numbers, you could use like MD5, which will convert that that number into a string of characters and numbers. Okay, but this might before they go. Okay, so if they click on this button, I'm going to create a random car ID. Instead of letting Firebase to create that ID, I'm creating the ID now. It's random, okay? So if they click, they will add a new car because it's a new ID, okay? But I also want to let the possibility to edit an existing car, okay? So here on my list, if they click on a car, I want to take them to the same view, but for editing the car. So here on the list, I have my row. This is the whole row, so I'm going to use the row as a button. So I'm going to do an on click on my row inside the list, okay? So the thing is that each document, you know that each document has an ID, right? So my list will know the ID of each document in the list. Okay, so how can I know that ID? I mean, the ID of the car or the document that the user clicked. Okay, so there's this way. I'm going to set the property.car ID. And what is the value I need to put inside that property? So basically the value that my car list knows, which is add element, because I want to access some property of the component or the element. Now I have to enter the name of the component, which is car list. Okay. And finally, I want to know which property I want to get from that component, which is the selected. Okay, so this is another reference which has the ID of the document that the user clicked. Okay, so I'm setting this value into this property, the car ID. Okay, so now I know the document. So if I go back to main view, the thing is that this form will be empty, or it will have the last value inside these properties, okay? So in case the car already exists, I want to set the value when loading this view, okay? This might be a bit more complicated, okay, for beginners, but let's use this event on this view, and I will use the on preload. Okay, so now I need to preset this property.maker, property.model, and property.ready. So I'm going to set property.maker, and what value do I need to put here? Okay, so basically I want to put the value inside the maker value, okay, but it will depend on the document ID, okay, but I already know at this point when I open this view, I already know the selected car, okay, because it's inside this property, okay, the car ID. So I'm going to access database from here, okay, so this is another way you can use databases to get value from the database. So add firebase.firestore. Now I'm going to enter the name of the collection, car. Now I need to know the name or the ID of the car, right? So dot, and I don't know it. I mean, it's inside a reference, but I don't really know it now that I'm creating the app. Okay, so for getting the value on one reference, and put that value here as the name or the ID of the document, you can use parentheses and then use property.car ID. Okay, because inside this property, I have the car ID, the selected car ID. Okay, so if you use parentheses, you are telling the app to replace the whole thing with the real value, okay? And then maker, which is the name of the field. So let's clone this. Same for model and model. Okay, and finally for ready. And I'm not sure if the switch is going to work this way, but let us check. Okay, and I think our example is done. Let's download the CTC. Let's try one more time. This is taking longer than before, so this might be good news, I hope. Yeah, I think we are having lucky. I don't want to talk too fast. Yeah, now it works. Okay, so yeah, it was definitely some problem in the server. I think yesterday night it happened the same. I mean, for 20 minutes it didn't work. I don't know. It was the same time, like 11 something here in Europe. Okay, so yeah, at least I know that I didn't do anything wrong. Okay, so let me install this app. Well, first I have to uninstall the other one, because since the other one was installed from Android Studio, it has a different certificate. Okay, and scan it. Open. Oh, by the way, I didn't finish the example. I'm just thinking that I forgot. I think in the card list. Yeah, yeah, that's wrong. In the card row, I set the value of the card ID, but then I didn't do anything after that. So I should have put here the go to main view. Okay, so first add the value, then go to the next view. Okay, so let's me export again. It should work now. Sorry, on preload here. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it works, but again, I need to export it. Thanks, Sonny. Well, this is the last example. Okay, we are almost running out of time, but well, this is basically all the content I wanted to explain today. I mean, how to write on the database, how to get data from the database. I mean, in different ways, like in a list or also just in a set function, so that we can get a value from the database and assign it to another property. Okay, let's see. Oh, I forgot this. Well, anyway, I'm not going to export it again. I forgot this S, but well, the model won't restart, but This is weird. They say 2 minutes. Okay. Okay, let me scan it. And well, I'm scanning and I'm downloading this version. This version is going to be wrong because I forgot the S in the model. But anyway, open, install. It's still working. Okay, I have open. Okay, so now I have my list. So if I want to add a new car, just click here on plus button, and it takes me to the main view, which is add a new car. Okay, so I'm going to add like I don't know, Tesla Model S, for example. Okay, and I don't know why this is not in the middle. Anyway, let's set it to true and click on, well, let me go to the database and click on save. You see, well, it added this. Yeah, I'm going to explain why. But you see, now it went back and it automatically added the Tesla car into the list. You see this? Let's add a new car. Like Porsche. What's this? Porsche 911 and save. You see? Now my Porsche is here. Now this is the Tesla, which is true, and this is the well, this is the other one, which is null, because yeah, that's right. Since I didn't click on the switch, it doesn't really exist because the you know this property.ready, it takes the value once the user clicks on the switch. Okay, so maybe you should have to set a value first for the property.ready. Okay, well, it's null because it tried to do this to get the value from the database, and since it doesn't really have I mean, it doesn't exist and the user didn't click on this, so this is why it doesn't have any value. Okay, but anyway, it's almost the same. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm going to click on the car. So if I click here, I'm going to the same screen and something's wrong. Yeah, the thing is that yeah, it used the scientific format because since this is the problem. Since I use this ID, it seems since it's a number, it didn't take it. So timestamp is a number. Okay, so you have to transform it into a text, which is you have to put the text modifier. Okay, then you can use MD5 if you want. Okay, this is the reason I got this weird key instead of numbers. Okay, okay, let me check if everything's correct. Cars, and we can set like set at property dot ready, and the value is going to be false, but only if it doesn't exist. So I'm going to use if property dot ready is null. Okay, so in case after trying to to read it from the database, I'm going to set it to false in case it doesn't have a value, in case it is not true and it is not false. Okay, so yeah, let me try to it's align. Oh, okay, yeah, I know it's on the right because it's 100%. So I'm going to put it on the middle and just wrap. Now it should be on the middle, I think. Okay, now we are done. Export, and now it should work perfectly. By the way, you just see, I mean, you see that, I mean, even after I close the app and I install a new version, since the data is on the database, I mean, on Firebase, it's not losing data. Okay, so if I uninstall the app and I install the app again, then I'm going to download the data from the database. Okay, because it's online, it's different. I mean, you can also have on Codoozer, you can have local databases and they are removed in case you are, I mean, in case you remove the app. But if you're using Firebase, they are always there. Okay, so now I have my cars. I can add a new one. And let's see if now the ID works. Maker, let's say Mercedes GLX, for example, and ready to true. Wow. It's still in this scientific format. This is very weird. Oh, okay, maybe I know what it is. Maybe that's because having an MD5 hash, maybe it returns another number. I didn't know that maybe a hash from a number, it's only number. So maybe it's because of that. Anyway, so I'm going to use one of these. Okay, the Ferrari. So I'm going to click on the Ferrari, which has a normal ID. Okay, now you see that I'm having the values on the database. Okay, because I'm setting them with these three sets. So now I'm going to click here and I'm going to call it GTO, for example. So I click on save and it added the ready and it changed this. Okay, so if I go back to Ferrari GTO, you see that now even the switch is on. Okay, because it took the value from here from the database. Okay, so I guess this is what you wanted to achieve, right, Sonny, with the scavenger hunt thing, like completed and not completed, basically. Well, in case you want to change the value in the database directly, you could also do, I mean, instead of having a save button, in case you just want to switch on and switch off, you could do this on the switch. You could do on change event, and you could do this set, and the what would be firebase.firestore.cars with an S dot parenthesis property dot car ID, and now it's ready. Okay, the field. And the value, now you can use this add property dot ready. Okay, because this is the value is stored here. So if the user clicks on the switch, this value will be changed, and then this event will be called the onChange. Okay, so if I generate, well, my next class, I'm doing English now every week. Okay, I'm finally doing English every week. Again, not working. Let's try again. So now, I mean, for the last month, I've been doing every Wednesday at this time, same time, I'm doing the English webinars. Okay, and I guess in the meantime, I mean, next week we will talk about creating login screen and authentication screen so that users in our app can create a profile and can create an account. Okay, because that's also very important. I mean, for creating big apps. So that will be next Wednesday. Okay, but in the meantime, I guess I will do some monographs. I think it's called monographs, right? On some new functionalities. Okay, so we have we have a new function. I'm not sure if you read it, that we have the function request. Okay, I believe you tried to do an app using an external API, right? You made that API be like just a JSON database. Okay, you can do that. You can just download the data. I mean the JSON API into a database. Okay, but we created a new function called request. Okay, which is more powerful to use an API. Okay, because you can also get the response from that API and put it into a database. Then you can use that content as another database. Okay, but the thing is that in that case, you can send parameters to the API in get or post methods, and you can send as many parameters as you want in the request, and also, well, you can have events in case something went wrong, or have an event when you got the response. Okay, so it's much more powerful. So I guess I will do some monograph about that. Okay, let me just do the final test. So I will show you how the value ready changes in real time. It should work, I hope. Okay, here we have the Ferrari. Let's select the Ferrari. Now it's true. So if I click on the switch, you see database changes in real. I don't need to click save. I can set only this value. Okay. Well, I created this app. I published it today. Well, I published it yesterday, but it got accepted. Let me show you. I think it won't work in the USA, but I guess you know apps like Gas Buddy. That's the one I used when I was living there. So I created something similar. And I guess I will also, this is for checking prices on gas stations. So I created this app using this new function, the request. So I have my API on the server, which takes all the prices from all the gas stations in Spain. Okay. Okay, then you can have a list, order by prices, distance, everything. Okay, so the app is quite cool. Okay, so that's with this new function. Okay, so every time you move on the map, it downloads the new data. Okay, so it only takes the area you are seeing on the map. Well, I can show you the app, by the way. You see I have this animation. This is cool. Okay, so it's only downloading the gas stations around me. So if I go to the map, you see now if I move, it connects, it sends a request and it gets data, but only the ones in my area. Okay, so this is super cool. Okay, this is with the new function. Okay, so yeah, I guess that's all for today. Okay, it's getting too long. Okay, so well, again, well, not again. I didn't say thank you yet, but yeah, but thank you for being here. Well, in case you have any questions, I can stay here for a while if you want. Okay, but all the content I wanted to talk about today, I think I covered everything. Okay, so yeah, if you have questions, I can stay. But if not, thank you very much again for being here. And also thank you for all the watchers. I mean, all the people that are watching this, I mean, in the future, okay, on YouTube. So, and you know, if you have any questions anytime, you can always send me an email to, well, or send it to support. I mean, I will be the one answering in this first stage. In the future, we will start having more people in support, but you can send emails to support.dojo.email. Okay. And yeah, that's all. And next week, we will talk about login and sign up. But in the meantime, if you have any questions, just send me an email. Okay. So again, thank you and see you in the next one. Yeah, but again, if you have questions, I can stay, yeah? But, well, I guess it's too late for everyone. So, last chance. Don't forget to purchase. Yeah, for sure. Well, we increased the price to $2. And soon we will raise it again. I guess in the middle of November, maybe $3. Okay. And by the way, we were thinking that maybe we should have lower values for Dojo coins in the future so that we can have some products on Dojo which are cheaper, like $1 a month, something like that. Okay, so in case we do that, all the people that bought Dojo coin will have 10 times their balance. Okay, so if someone bought 100 Dojo coin, I mean during this ICO, okay, instead of 100 Dojo coins, they will have 1,000. Okay, but then we will have a lower value for the Dojo coin. Okay, so I mean at the end it's the same. Okay, you got the Dojo coin at 90% of discount. So I'm not sure if I explained it right, but basically one Android app will be like almost 10 or $12 per month. Okay, so now with Dogecoin, I mean that was going to be one Dogecoin. So in the future, it will be, I mean, once we finish all this, it probably will be 10 Dogecoin per month to have an Android app. Okay, but if you bought one Dogecoin, we are going to multiply that 10 times. So instead of, well, in your case, I think you bought like 300. So you really have 3,000. Okay. And then you will make 10 Dogecoin every month instead of one if you have the $10 subscription. Maybe that's easier in the future to have like one Dogecoin, $1, something like that. Okay, so Yeah, now I think it's time. There, I see no questions. Still the best value. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think it's a super fair price. I mean, even after the ICO, I mean, $10 or $12 a month for one builder this powerful. I mean, I think it's a super price because there are some other app builders quite limited and they are like $30, $40 a month. Okay, so yeah, I mean, with Codoozer, you can create apps like if you have real developers in house. So normally that's much more expensive than $10 a month, right? Mm. Well, I'm just waiting these 20 seconds because of the delay that YouTube has in case there are questions, but I believe there are no more questions. So yeah, so now I have to say goodbye. Okay, so again, thank you and see you soon. Okay, bye bye.